Welcome to Snap, Crackle, and Cheap Pops, the Pro Wrestling for You podcast. Here's your hosts, Daniel Terry, Crissi Steel, and Phil Woodvine.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 3 of season 4 of Snap, Crackle, and Cheap Pops, the Pro Wrestling for You podcast. I am taking the reins. I am Daniel Terry, the voice of Pro Wrestling for You, the dork with a mic in the ring. Joined by owner and creator of Pro Wrestling for You, Phil Filthy Woodvine, and our regular DJ / sound technician / knows everything that we don't, Christopher Moneypenny Strawn.
Good evening, gents.
AK the dork with a mic on the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I know that the people that listen to this podcast, they won't be able to see what Chris looks like at the minute. But I've been to Crufts, and Chris kind of looks like one of the really overly combed dogs at Crufts.
His hair definitely is. It's got a very shiny coat, shall we say?
It needs a cut, mate, is what it does.
I mean, if you start tickling his belly and chucking in biscuits, then we'll probably double back on that one.
What are you talking about? That's what we do in most shows.
Touche, sir. Touche.
That's how I get paid, isn't it?
You get paid?
It's not hot dogs and handshakes. It's biscuits and belly rubs. So,
I need to up my wage. I mean, I'm not getting biscuits. What's this? But anyway, indeed. So it is episode 3, where we're looking at the 3rd year of Pro Wrestling for You, which started with Silverado Showdown 3. So there's a nice little kind of running theme to lead into the show, I suppose.
It is. I've got a little tidbit for you.
Okay.
So on the last show,
isn't it tidbit, not titbit?
I thought it was tidbit.
Like I think it's tidbit.
Tid. T-I-D.
Oh my god!
Oh. I'm sorry, but I don't want any of the former from yourself, Filthy. That's a different podcast.
Just so you know, I'm not making up. I've actually got it written down on the little form. Filthy's tidbits. How have I got to 37 and didn't realise it wasn't tit?
Filthy's tidbits are something for a separate podcast, not.
Well,
Filthy's OnlyFans.
I'm living up to the Wally name, so. For God's sake, Phil's tidbit sounds weird, tidbit. But we'll go with it. So you asked me on the last episode why Silverdale Showdown, the name.
Yes.
And it completely passed me by that it wasn't originally called Silverdale Showdown. Now, when we went from the over 18 shows to the family-friendly PG shows, we wanted to call it Pro Wrestling for You's Proving Ground because the initials are Proving Ground.
Yeah, PG.
PG is a little pun to kind of give people a little clue that we're going PG and family friendly. Now, I think it was a company called NGW up in Hull, and there's another one down south that both had long-running shows called Proving Ground. Someone pointed it out to me, and I didn't like to look stupid at that point. So, obviously, we've just done the tidbits thing. I'm quite okay with looking stupid. But at that point, I didn't want to look stupid. It's like, oh, no, that's just like... When like a movie has a name that's not a name that it goes under, it was
the project name.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's not really Proving Ground. It's Silverdale Showdown. I think that's how it came about. But it just, I didn't even have a clue till I went back and found some notes in an old notebook. So that's 10 years ago. I didn't even realise. But yeah, pressing for you Proving Ground, never to see the light of day.
I mean, have you been cleaning out the loft to find that notebook?
A little bit. I'll have a little nosy. And also, before another little tidbit, I know we're going to open the show talking about Silver Showdown 3 today, but this wasn't meant to be Showdown 3, it's meant to be Showdown 4. So at the end of 2012, we had a show booked in November that the venue had cancelled on us. Again, I completely forgot about this. And so we did... February and we did August, and then we had that one booked for November. And when we showed up for the show in August, they said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we've had to cancel your November show." Oh, okay. I mean, I've booked the ring, I've booked the wrestlers.
Kind of you to let us know.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't know what goes into it. They don't know how many moving parts a wrestling show takes. They just said, "Oh, just move it, you'll be okay. It's nowhere close." But obviously, we booked the ring, the insurance, the wrestlers, the blah 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 blah. So so this was meant to have been Showdown 4, but it's the delayed Showdown 3.
There we go. So indeed. So on the third month of 2013, in the third year of Pro Wrestling for You, Silverdale Showdown 3,
Yes.
too many S's. Silverdale Showdown 3 did indeed take place. Nice little 6-match card. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Kind of following it, going into the pattern that we'd kind of set ourselves into. 5 or 6 matches. That tends to be our forte.
Yeah, exactly. Nice mix of matches too. Got to say.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of everything on this card. Now, when people ask me, are there any moments in Wrestling for You's history that I feel a big leap, like a big jump, where we've tried something different or something's gone so right for us we never look back. This show for me is it. Not just because Chris is on it, the handsome Crufts winner that he is, but it felt so different because the previous shows were just the curtain kind of pulled to a little bit, no lights, no care and attention, just bog standard wrestling show, kind of make it cheap. But there's such a big leap forward in quality of this show. I'm just glad that we've got the DVD of it and it's up on our on demand and all that sort of stuff as well. Because even though the cameras aren't as high res as I would have liked, it's still a really good representation of what we would come to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, it was the first time you say that you booked in with myself and my former partner doing lights.
Yeah, well, this for me, because me and you've never talked about this.
No.
In the decade that we've known each other. It's because, for anyone that doesn't know, Chris is a big wrestling fan now, but go back a decade, and he didn't want anything to do with wrestling. I mean, is that fair to say?
That was fair to say, mate. I was told that we're doing lights for a wrestling show. I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? It's a paying job. Let's do it. What's the worst that could happen? And 10 years down the line, I'm now a die-hard wrestling fan.
10 years down the line, the worst happened.
Yep. We saw him in his tights. The worst has most definitely happened.
Yeah, that's true.
God, yeah.
Steele is a talk for another podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. But what came about was we were being sponsored by Venom Base Music Studio, and your company, Blackout Lighting, were they like a subsidy of Venom Base or a?
No, not
partner?
at all, mate. We were not at all. They were just friends of ours, and because we set up Blackout Lighting as purely just a thing to do for Jesse's Divide, who PW4U fans will know as being on the shows a couple of times. And we just decided, because Jesse did the odd gig here and there, why do more lighting? So let's just see what we can do. And Venom Base informed you guys about us, and yeah.
Well, it was a really strange meeting that we had because myself and my girlfriend at the time, we got taken to Venom Base. We walked in. We said hello to Chris, the owner of Venom Base. We said hello to Mark, your former partner, and they sat us both on the floor, looking at an empty wall over the other side of the room. It's a big, long room, and just sit down, stare at the wall that would have been 50 feet in front of us. We're like, okay, and they turn the lights off, and we're looking at each other, going, what's going on here? What's going to jump out at us?
This is where we die.
Yeah, this is going to turn into a Netflix documentary 10 years from now. And then, over our heads, the lasers just started firing at the wall. That Mark was putting on all these lasers. He put on this big light show, and we're like, oh, okay, we're not here to get buggered. So. Yeah, it was a really good laser show. We just stood there looking at all these lasers going over the tops of our heads, all this light show, all these strobes. I think you maybe had a couple of the vapor machines, and we're like, okay. And then Chris, the owner of Venom Base, said, "So, do you want them for your shows? First of all, tell me a price, because as good as it is, we can only do so much."
Yeah.
We could even make the tickets 20 quid each, which people wouldn't show up for, or we sell enough of them that we can't get enough people in the venue, and then it's the same issue no matter how you look at it. So quoted me a price, we said okay, and then ourselves, Venom Base and Blackout were all joined at the hip, like some kind of weird human centipede.
I was going to go with a menage a trois, but sure, if you want to go down that route, that's perfectly fine.
I've watched some of Crissi Straw's home movies, and that's just. What?
Exactly.
rolling around with his cat food.
You were involved in them.
Exactly. So, Chris, I want to kind of get your perspective on this. Because I say this is your first show. Again, blank canvas. Imagine Phil's not here. What was your first impressions when you turned up that first day to light this wrestling show? What was your expectations and what was your impressions?
I was completely thrown in the deep end with this one, mate. I'm not going to lie, because we were used to, like I say, doing gigs and stuff. We weren't
different medium.
Yeah, it's a totally different medium. We've got to do entrances and whatnot, do the lights, but we're not doing it to music that we know, sort of thing. Like I say with Jesse's, we know all the songs. I'm there.
You know when to, the phases and stuff.
But also, as Phil will tell you on these early shows, I couldn't see the ring. I was behind the curtain on stage. So I'm doing all the lights from behind the curtain as the wrestler walks out, and I don't know what's going on out. I can't see out front to see how it's looking or going down or whatever. Yeah. All I've got is Dobbo at the back doing the laser and controlling the geezers, which were the smoke machines that we were very limited to what we could use because of smoke alarms.
Yep.
And I'm behind just flashing all the lights on a little, like, it looks like a keyboard because I'm just doing the keyboard action the whole time to the rhythm of the music and
Fair
also
enough.
like to the crowd sort of like chanting and whatnot.
Okay.
So yeah, for me, it was a very big learning curve to go like, I'm doing this entirely blind because I don't know what's going on out front. I don't know what the songs are 9 times out of 10 because it's not my forte. And yeah, I was just like, let's do this once and make sure he pays us at the end of the night because he looks a great dodgy bugger.
I mean, still does.
And then we did a few years with you, a couple of years at least.
Yeah, well, it goes from this show up to the one before November Rain. Yeah,
yes,
which obviously we will get to that at a later date. But because this is like the building of Blackout and Pro Wrestling for You, and also Jesse's all in itself. Obviously, when it gets to November Rain, that's the downfall of a lot of it, but also the rebirth of some other stuff, which obviously we'll get to on future shows.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed. Well, in theory, we'll start getting to on the next show because that was all in 2014. But indeed, that's so. If you're interested in that, make sure you hit like on whatever service you're watching this on, that you listening to your podcasts on, and you'll be able to catch episode 4 when it comes out. Or if it's already out, happily binge it, enjoy. So a bit of a learning curve, obviously, if I'm to say what things from a technical perspective would you have done differently knowing that, I'm assuming knowing Silverdale, I don't think that desk, which I believe is there, can move. So I'm assuming some kind of monitor system would have been useful.
Well, Dobbo was on the DJ booth, which is where I'm situated now at the back.
Yeah.
I was on just a table behind the curtain where the trussing is on stage for you guys who attend the shows now. So yeah, I was, as you're looking at the stage, I'm stage right.
So kind of, I know people listening to this might not know, but Dan, so where Tony Knox is taking photos on the stage now.
Yeah,
that's where I was.
Yeah, Chris was tucked in there. The stage was open, but we'd put like trussing along that side. So
and a curtain.
Fair enough. Okay. So for those who may understand theatre, that would be stage left technically. But if you're in the audience, the right-hand side of a stage.
Yeah. And also the amount of wrestlers who thought I was controlling the music, because I'm doing all this little motion on a little keyboard device, and kept coming to me going, wait until the chorus and then cut it out. I'm like, I'm trying to do one-handed action of like, I'm not controlling the music because you can't hear me over the music.
Yeah.
I'm doing the flashing lights.
Flashing lights.
Yeah. And then it's like Pitbull was the worst one. Every show he'd say to me, can you just get the chorus? I'm like, no, I've got no like international distress signal. Like I can't do it to the back of the venue, mate. I can't help you there. Bless him.
It's like, yeah, I can't, but if you speak to the right person, baby. Indeed. So in talking about like obviously the format change, back to you, Filthy, like the previous event was a 4-way, several singles match and a tag match at the end, I believe. So kind of like a lot of single matches kind of sandwiched. Obviously, it's it's very much interspersed: singles, four-way, singles, tag team, singles, Money in the Bank Rumble match.
Yeah.
So
it's difficult with booking a show when you've got no stories, and it's difficult when you're booking a show. And bear in mind to say, like we said at the start of this podcast, we thought we had a show in November, so that would have been February, August, November, and then March for this one. So there's not as much of a time gap between. When you go from August to March, it's very difficult to say, I hate you, and in 7 months' time, I'm going to get my revenge. It misses there's something gets lost in translation in the fret there. So
the narrative gets forgotten in that time.
Yeah, so you've got to kind of book it a bit different. The more attractions than matches and storyline progression.
Yeah, so opening up, you had a nice little singles match. Danny Steele and Chris Travis.
Yeah. Now, and before we go into this one, like I purposefully, one of my all-time favorite songs, which I think Chris would have had to have done the lights to, and probably would have thought, why the hell are we playing this shit? It opened the show up. It's Avicii levels. Now I'm a big Avicii fan. I saw him live at Creamfields. It's difficult to appreciate a DJ because they don't move. They're behind a DJ booth. They can do very little. It's not like a rock stars that jump up on podiums and all that sort of stuff. But big fan of Avicii. And this was me getting my own way. I don't want to do rock to open the shows. I want my personality on my shows. My ego's creeping in. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have my DJ Avicii opening the show. So purposefully kind of picked that. This should have been a really great opener. Because Danny Steele is always immaculate, chiseled. Chris Travis, obviously no longer with us, chiseled beyond belief, and the crowd was gone, just completely silenced, just really, really painfully quiet. And they were trying stuff, but they just couldn't.
Okay.
They just couldn't draw from the crowd, unfortunately. This might have something to do with, now we still stick with this format for a while, but this is when we used to open at 7 and start at 8, so the crowd had been sat there for an hour.
Yeah,
could be something to do with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean there is sort of there is something to be said with the current format in memory serves, because it's been a while since we've done a show. Doors at 7, first bell at 7:30.
Yep.
Yeah. I just want to quickly interject, Phil, because I know at this time you've just said about you don't want rock to open the show sort of thing. For the fans who remember those shows, what was the reason for using a Mentai's Gods of the New Age as the promo music video for these shows?
Bloody hell. God damn, you're good.
Ooh.
He is earning his bally rub and biscuits today. Honestly, I'm going to send you a big case of cat food with gravy or jelly, whichever is your preference, for anyone that listened last time. Dan's looking confused, but he'll hit it in a second.
I'm not. I'm just blanking that bit out. I've repressed that bit. That never happened.
In this, I like to. There's like a Vince McMahonism that he likes to own content. He likes to have his own little trademark, his own little copyright on. People's names, people's moves, so on and so forth. Now, I've been using Mentai's Gods of the New Age for a little while at United Wrestling because I was managing a team called Gods of the New Age, because it's quite a predominant, quite a really good rock song, great beat to it, pronounces the words in it quite a lot. I think there's maybe one swear word, but it's at the end, so you will never get to it. And I wanted to own that song because nobody knew what the song was. I wanted to be like, hey, that's my mate's band, let's play it. So yeah, I think that's just why we went with it. It was a hangover from the United Wrestling days. But what isn't a hangover from the United Wrestling days is we've not got Matt Castle on this show. Now, I don't think you two have met him, but he was our referee from early doors, from the very first show. Good friend of mine named Matt Castle. We used to go together up to United Wrestling. He took over the book at United Wrestling in late 2012. We had a bit of a fallout, didn't see eye to eye, both got egos, both can't take criticism, and we kind of parted ways. So we've got Russell Whitey, the ref at this one. Matt Castle had departed, and I had departed United Wrestling all at once.
Okay.
Again, a quick interjection. 6 degrees of separation here. I was a Mentai's roadie when they recorded that album.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we should have met each other sooner.
I mean, we probably did, and I just thought that why that dude at Crufts? Why is he in the? I don't know.
I love how you keep going from Crufts to cat food. There's a very
mixed metaphors here. Mixed metaphors. Indeed. But yeah, speaking of mixing it up, the next match was a 4-way match for a title as well for the Pro Wrestling for You G6 division.
Yeah. Now this might be the first time that a G6 hasn't opened a show.
I will momentarily check that.
I'm pretty certain that's right, because we wanted it to be the opener. We wanted to bookend the shows, and I think this is the me trying something different. Okay, maybe.
I'm assuming we're discounting Extreme Mashup.
But that was a 5-way G6. What went on to be G6? So
yeah.
It was,
okay. So yeah, 5-way format, but without the belt.
Yeah. The belt didn't come to the second show, but this is the first time that the championship belt was actually on a show. So up to this point, Squirt had always come out with this gold trophy. We actually got a G6 belt made, and this is the first time Squirt was going to come out with it, and he's losing it on this show. So he had it for maybe an hour.
Oh, bless him.
Maybe 2. And he's like, "Oh, this is a really nice shiny belt, like fresh out the bag. still got that new car smell."
Yeah.
Like, I've got to drop it. Shit.
Indeed. Now, also, before we go any further, obviously we are recording this post speaking out. There are names that we will be mentioning in this podcast purely from a factual they were there sense. Nothing more needs to be said on that matter. We are fully behind the speaking out movement, and we at Pro Wrestling View have indeed been looking at what we can do to make the wrestling scene a better place to work in as well as visit. But yeah, so 4-way match. Now, I'm going to say a name. I don't know if we've mentioned this from previous podcasts, but this person is still on the Pro Wrestling for You roster, still wrestling with us, but looked a bit different back then to what he does now. So Dan Evans, which again I believe is someone who's been with us recently, Liverpudlian. Yep.
I've been with him at United Wrestling for what seems like ever. So it was just an easy fix to bring him in.
Yep. Kieran, I'm guessing that's pronounced Kieran McConnell.
Yeah. He owned. I don't know what the company's called now. Infinite Promotions Wrestling up in Liverpool. Him and Zach Gibson, as he would kind of go to be as NXT UK. They both owned Infinite Promotions, and they had me on their show because they had like a British Wrestling Premier League at the time, and they split the country up into counties and cities. And myself, Mark Morgan, Dean Allmark, and Robbie Dynamite were Team Stoke. So it was a good thing to get them on board because they were promoting us, we were promoting them. So it was good to kind of get Kevin on board, even though he probably wouldn't have fitted in with the G6 idealized weight division.
Of course, Squirt, at the time going into this match, the reigning G6 champion, and Mark Morgan, who I believe I've seen pictures of him at the time of these shows. The Mark Morgan as we know now, fairly muscly, like Paul. Myself, follically challenged. Then he'd be rivaling Chris for the length of the hair. Would it be fair to say? And it was bleach blonde.
Mine isn't bleach blonde, but he does qualify on the length of hair. I didn't recognise him when he came back as he is now, to the point where I reintroduced myself to him.
Nice.
That's not my brightest moment.
I mean, to be fair,
stormed him right off.
I think I'd probably do that just to wind him up if he'd made a change that vast. Again, knowing him as I know him now. But yeah, a very long-haired, bleach blonde Mark Morgan.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with the word titbit because I can't. I'm 37. I'm not changing anything now. So filthy little titbit for this match. Now, we've already mentioned this is the first time we've got the belt on the show, so it's no longer a trophy. Now, the move that Mark Morgan pulls out the win with is a split-legged moonsault, which is what Dave Delvecchio, then at the time Scorpion, won the very first ever Pro Wrestling for You match with. So obviously, Mark and Dave went on to be the Scoundrels, but the fact that both of them won with split leg moonsaults, it was a quite nice little tidbit.
Indeed.
I
mean,
now there's a
I can't imagine Mark doing a moonsault.
No,
I mean, he's not averse to sort of like climbing the turnbuckles every now and then, but he doesn't. His style at the moment, you wouldn't instantly look at him and go, yeah, he's going to moonsault.
No, definitely. I mean, he was a very the most, I don't want to say vanilla baby face, but a very vanilla baby face. You know, very blonde, very clapping hands, and you know what I mean. That I mean, it worked because he was getting over, but very much of that kind of thing. Now, there's a spot in this match that does not age well.
Okay.
I've put this online. Chris is shaking his head. I think he knows which one it is, and I think it's his phone wallpaper.
How did you know? No, it's aged badly.
It is aged badly. Now, I'd stolen this spot. I don't know where from. Dan's looking confused. But it's a four-way match. So occasionally the heels team up, the faces team up, and then all hell breaks loose, blah, 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 whatever. Dan Evans kind of falls in the center of the ring on all fours. So he's on his hands and knees. And I think they drop toe hold Kevin McConnell. Now, people can't see this, but both Dan and Chris are hiding their faces. Now, they drop toe hold Kevin McConnell into the back of Mr. Massive himself, Dan Evans. And he looks like, I'm trying to think of a PG way of doing this. It looks like a lowercase H.
Yeah, he's getting rear-ended.
Okay.
It's a bit Discovery Channel, shall we say?
Yeah, and then to make matters worse or better, depends on your preference, they take turns in kicking Kieran into the buttocks. So Squirt and Mark take turns kicking Kieran in the buttocks. So he looks like he is giving Dan a good time.
Okay. Bless. And of course, in the oh my, poor Dan. And in the end, obviously, Mark Morgan becomes the G6 title champion.
Yeah, the first time he's won this belt, but definitely not the last time.
No, indeed. But yeah, so, and again, sort of, he's been many champions since. Is it fair to say?
I think there's maybe 6 or 7 in total, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, then we had a singles match with aforementioned Zach Gibson defeating El Ligero.
Now, this is 2 years since that Kiel show, our debut show at Kiel.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd had warmed up at this point. They were very much like, it's a Stokey crowd. And as soon as our announcer at the time, Mr. Harvey Dale, announced, and hailing from Liverpool, that's all they needed to know. That's all the crowd. And I know, Daniel, I know you're a Liverpool fan. I know.
I am.
And my girlfriend's a Scouser, so it is what it is. But the crowd, that's all they needed. Gibson just walked out onto the stage, didn't need to say anything, didn't need to do anything. He got a chorus of boos, and that chorus of boos stayed in with an entire 15-minute match. It was superb.
Nice. Indeed. Of course, then, back then, were you doing 3 break and then carrying on, or were you breaking after 4?
I believe this was 4 intermission 2.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Was the infamous now infamous Rafflemania not a thing at this point?
No, Rafflemania didn't kick in for another 2-3 years, perhaps.
Okay, fair enough.
It was a 4 and 2 break back then.
4 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, the first half finale was a tag team match. The Predators, Joseph Connor and Paul oh God, no. I remember this. This was a mistake from last time. Paul Malone.
No.
Malone.
Yes.
There we go. Against Keith Mayat and the baby-faced Pitbull. It's an interesting tag team.
Well, we didn't have really many storylines, We're still trying to create we didn't have many tag teams at all. So Ryan Myatt is missing from this show. I have no idea why he wasn't here at this point. I think this might have been when he did his shoulder in.
Okay.
He pulled his shoulder out really badly on a United Wrestling show, and he had to take some time away. So this would probably fall in with this kind of points.
Was that about the time he pulled his hair out as well?
Are you anybody to judge?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we didn't have many tag teams, didn't have many storylines. Now the Predators were flanked by Violent Vendetta and myself.
Okay.
I was still wearing my cheesy little waistcoat, which I've been shot down by the both of you about waistcoats. I think they're terrible. You two think they're good. Whatever.
I wear my outfit is a waistcoat. I mean, with trousers and a shirt as well, obviously, not just a waistcoat. That would be a very different show indeed. But yeah, waistcoats are awesome.
I second that.
It works for both of you two. It just didn't work for me. I wouldn't wear one now. I couldn't do it.
I just look like, when I'm wearing a waistcoat, I just look like a kind of like a try-hard pub landlord, which is kind of what I've slowly kind of like eked into in terms of my announcing style.
The problem is I look like a hipster all the time, so with a waistcoat, it solidifies that entire image. I work in craft beer. I've got a beard, I've got long hair, waistcoat.
But it suits the
smoke a pipe.
I mean that's a bit personal. That is, Chris. I mean.
I said pipe, not pole.
I mean, just like whatever you get up to, mate. We don't judge. We love you no matter what.
Indeed. But anyway, back to this tag team match. Obviously, sort of like Keith Mayat and Babyface Pitbull. Those of Pro Wrestling for You fandom will probably know that there's been a bit of more recent history in terms of matches between those two. Is it fair to say?
Yep. Because both of these two are baby faces at this point.
Yeah.
And I think we're still using the United Wrestling ring, and we're still using the United Wrestling broken mics. So I think I tried cut a promo at the start of this match, and it sounds like Morse code.
Okay.
It just doesn't, and people. But it's one of those weird things where if I'd have just cut this scathing promo, people would go, "Oh, I don't like how he says this. I'm going to boo him." But because I'm getting very frustrated, it worked better because then they're laughing at me. I'm getting mad, and then it just keeps breaking more, and it just worked better without any actual words. Just me going, "It's bloody welcome," and then I give it back to the announcer, and the announcer.
Mike.
It's my voice because I give it back to the announcer. And the announcer goes, "Seems to work perfectly fine." Damn it! But again, that makes it even funnier. So when I watched it back, I was like, you know what? That's actually one of those happy little coincidences.
Happy little accident.
Yeah, but I think this for me was my penultimate manager appearance at this point.
On your own shows.
On all shows pretty much.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of trying to wrap it up a little bit, and I just wanted to just be a promoter. So yes, my penultimate appearance. Plus, Violent Vendetta is infinitely better than me. So leaving it up to her just made more sense.
Absolutely fair. Yeah. So then, obviously, we had our intermission, and you came back again with a singles match. Sam Bailey defeating Dave Rain
in a dance-off.
I approve.
Now. Both of these two knew there was going to be a dance-off. Neither of them knew which music I was going to pick for them.
Yeah.
We still do that now. I mean, both of you two are aware of bits and pieces that we've done over time where we purposefully don't tell the people involved. Like, we don't tell Dan and Chris the raffle prize. We don't tell certain other wrestlers bits and pieces and whatever.
In fairness, I ask not to be told. I want to be surprised.
But like, I wouldn't tell you even if you'd have asked, because I do genuinely love the genuine sell. And we do that with matches, and we do that with bits and pieces and all this sort of stuff. Now, I've managed to pick Gangnam Style for Dave Rain. I'm pretty certain that's right. And then I picked Gangnam Style again for Sam Bailey. Sam is a superb dancer, really, really great dancer. Dave Rain, not so much. He looks like, when you used to go to a nightclub and there'd be not an old guy, but a guy a bit too old for the club there.
Why do I feel I'm about to be called out?
We were in like, if someone was like 80 or 90.
All of us now.
Yeah, that creepy old dude in the club. But he kind of danced like that, a bit lectury. You just stand there with your pint, looking on the dance floor, sizing up the women like they're animals, and just like he's trying to claim his hunting trophy. He danced like that. So yeah, and then Dave Rain took the mic after they both had a dance. You know what, Sam? You do it again. You do it again. I want to see what you're going to do. And he was going to jump in while Sam was dancing. I'd switched the music to Baggy Trousers by Madness, and the look on Sam's faces. What the fuck? Like, what? Why not just keep it Gangnam Style? But I must have told whoever was DJ at that point, just switch it into Baggy Trousers for me.
I mean, it's, as we all know, Baggy Trousers is that infinitely danceable, continuous rhythm song. Yeah. You meanie.
It was organic. I do have to point out that it was Joshy Brown, the DJ for this show.
He
didn't do too many shows for us, and he probably did maybe 4 or 5 in total. But yeah, pretty certain this was one of Joshy Brown's. Because I think Sam Bailey showed up with no music, as is always the case with a lot of wrestlers. Yeah, mate, can you just pick me something? I mean, they always go up to Chris. Can you pick me something? And say, Chris, find him something, and then Chris picks him something. 99% of the time, Chris picks him something perfect because Chris knows what he's doing. I'm not trying to blow some smoke, but Chris does know what the fuck he is doing.
It's true.
Credit where credit's due. I don't give many compliments out. Here's what it is.
9 times out of 10, mate, they give me a certain song. That's why I know what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. I take back my compliments here. But Josh must have picked something for Sam because he picked a Bad Man Rhythm, whatever that song is.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then I think Sam won the dance off, and I think he actually won the match as well. I have no idea.
He did. So, he did.
We do have to give a big shout out to cagematch.net for this because I don't remember all these results. So a massive thank you to cagematch.net.
Indeed, Phil is of course older than God's dog, so his memory is going at this point in his age. So we do have to thank these tools that help him remember what he did.
Signed up to Crufts
3 weeks ago. Indeed, of course. Then the finale. Now, I can't think. I mean, I've not been with Pro Wrestling View for the longest time, but I can't think of another time when I've seen a Money in the Bank Rumble match.
Yeah, especially with only 13 people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of wanted to push the boat out. We wanted to test the boundaries of the audience. How long would they sit there for? Because it's a 6-match card, and a Battle Royale, if you put that on, it's 5 minutes, 7 minutes tops.
Yeah.
When you've got 1 minute intervals, or I think it was 1 minute intervals, you're guaranteed for at least a good 15, 20 minutes. Let's put a lot of matches on, see where they kind of time out and go, okay, they'll be there for future reference, maybe dial it back to 5 matches. They've got an attention span of X amount of minutes, blah, blah, blah. Plus let's be honest, Rumbles are just a way to see a lot of talent, new talent, if that's what you're doing it for, or to use a lot of the talent twice because they don't charge you for twice if it's a Rumble.
Fair.
Just being honest, it's a money-saving tactic. Get me on that money-saving supermarket, whatever the fuck it's called. But that's what it is. That's why people do Rumbles. It's exciting, and you save money in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it is entertaining because obviously, I mean, I think I'm quoting someone from backstage. I can't remember who, but they said, they love a Rumble because you get to go out there and in 30 seconds just drop all your favorite moves, make the crowd absolutely pop, and then get thrown out.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting thing from both sides, I think.
Also, you've got to bear this in mind. The other thing that comes out of Rumbles, and now this happens every WWE Royal Rumble, is storylines. Because you've got a lot of people involved in that. So you can have this person chucks this one out, this person chucks this person out. The ref didn't see this person go out. It creates stories. And again, this is we're going to do 3 shows this year, relatively close together. We're in 2 months of each other, 3 months of each other. We need storylines. We need to start creating. It can't just be 5 or 6 attractions, go home. 5, 6 attractions next time, go home. We need something that flows from one show to another.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we do the Rumble.
So was there a storyline within this one that you wanted to pull over to Silver Showdown 4? Or can you not remember it?
I can, luckily I can. I'm not too bad on this one. So it came down to Sam Bailey, who was super over on the show, and Paul Malin, that was a super over heel. I mean, he's an old school veteran heel, Mr. Paul Malin, as you like to call him.
Indeed.
And it comes down to Sam Bailey and Paul Malin. I'm pretty soon Paul Malin gets ejected from the Rumble. Sam Bailey thinks he's won, but because the ref is seen to Chris Travis on the floor, who's got his arms wrapped around the referee so the ref can't see, Paul slides back in, chucks Sam Bailey out. The ref turns around, sees that Paul Malin has won. File Vendetta slides in, flashes a knickers, and then we've got a story.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so I mean, so it gives us something. The crowd have been cheated. It gives us a little bit of something to kind of work with. We're like, okay, that's quite cool. Now I have ripped off the Royal Rumble '95 ending for this show. It's Shawn Michaels and British Bulldog, and it happens exactly the same. Yeah. Shawn Michaels gets chucked out. He's got 1 foot on the floor, the infamous 1 foot on the floor. Bulldog's on the turnbuckle of 1. Shawn rolls back in, hits double axe handle, knocks him out, and we just parodied that exact same finish.
I mean, fair play, What was it? Imitations is the sincerest form of flattery?
Yep, and with this, obviously, so Paul Malin's now got the Money in the Bank briefcase. We didn't care about copyrights at this point, so WWE wouldn't know where to send a cease and desist. So
title in a lunchbox briefcase, got you.
Yeah.
Well, Jericho owns that apparently, doesn't he?
What, he owns the copyright to Money in the Bank?
He does.
Oh, okay.
He invented Money in the Bank.
I mean, hats off to him.
Every day is a school day. Yeah.
There you go. So maybe one day do we do AEW? Should I say AEW? We may see a Money in the Bank match.
No, I mean the fact that they still present Money in the Bank pay-per-views, I would probably say that WWE owns it.
Well, maybe not necessarily. They might have a rights deal with Jericho for so many years, a contract for so many years.
Yeah. So when it runs out, Jericho's got the power to
renew or take it himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hats off to him. This does create more storyline, because you don't want to just have one storyline. You don't want to have just a plan A, because if one of the people in plan A doesn't show up next time, you want to have plan B, plan C. So with Pitbull still being the person for you champion, Malin's in the ring, he's got the briefcase, Sam looks dejected, Sam walks off, Malin's cheering, but we need to send the fans home happy.
Yeah.
So the music hits, babyface Pitbull comes out, straight in the ring, doesn't do his laps. I don't even think he did his infamous 10 laps around the ring before getting in. He jumps straight in, eye to eye with Paul Malin, trying to challenge him to get him to cash in. Malin's kind of thinking about it, and then ducks out like the cowardly heel that he is to leave Pitbull in the ring to send the fans home happy.
Fair.
And that's the end of that show. There is one other little tidbit I do want to give you both.
Tidbit.
I'm 37. I'm not changing anything now.
It's right. We'll keep the biscuits that you were going to give to Moneypenny, and we'll use them to train you. So it's fine.
Yes, absolutely. So on this show, you had obviously me, the promoter and owner of Wrestling for You. You had Styx in the audience that owns House of Pain. Yep. You had Mrs. Fludder that kind of co-owned Preston City Wrestling with Mr. Fludder, who Mr. Fludder wasn't in attendance, but she was. So House of Pain was in attendance. PCW was in attendance. We had Dale Harvey that owned Hope Wrestling in attendance. We had Kieran and Zach from Infinite Promotions. 2 more promoters. We had Richard Lee supplying the ring, security, and microphones. Another promoter. And Dave Rain that owned Future Shock Wrestling, all on the card as well. So including myself, 7 promotions represented, all under the Person for You banner.
It's not bad. And again, that was quite an interesting thing that you came back to later, which we will obviously get to, with Pro Wrestling for You versus the World, where we invited other people over. Always some of my favorite events there, just to see kind of the different fan bases kind of reacted to. It was always interesting. But yeah, so that was indeed Silverdale. I can't speak today. Silverdale Showdown 3.
All of a sudden, Tidbit doesn't sound so fucking bad.
Well, I don't know about that. Later on that year, 5 months down the line, Silverdale Showdown 4. on the 23rd of August 2013. Again, sort of like a mix of matches, sort of 3 singles, 3 title and or other matches, I suppose you could say. Was this also a 4-2 card?
I'll be honest, I have no idea. This falls under one of those shows where we've not got any footage of it.
Okay.
There's 3 or 4 shows that we've got very minimal footage on. So this show was filmed by a guy that seemed to own a company. I'm trying to not swear. I don't know if you can tell I'm gritting my teeth.
Oh, we can tell.
And he was like, no problem, mate. And he did the last one. He did throughout the Showdown 3, which was perfectly fine. Bit out of focus at times, but for the most part, not bad. This one, the footage corrupted. There's very little of this that remains, and I'm absolutely gutted.
Ooh, I mean, these things happen. Technology will be technology. So, opening again, not with the G6 division. Assuming this may have been a 4-2, that would put for this event the G6 as the first half finale, which not a terrible way to go into the intermission. But opening with a tag team match, Battle Squad Awesome, which is Danny Chase and Dave Andrews against Barricade and Lucas Black.
Yeah, now this is one of those moments where we had someone pull out on the morning of the show. Now that's not a scary thought because we've got a really good network. Someone pulls out. If I rang you two in a panic, oh guys, such and such has pulled out. I'm sure even you two could both go, what about this guy? What about this guy? Because you know your people, you know enough about the area that some of these people live in. You've got your own networks as well, But at this point, 2013, I didn't have that, so it was like, oh shit. Now it's meant to be Battle Squad Awesome, which I absolutely love, versus Lucas Black and let me think of his name, Flex Buffington of Eye Candy. They're a bit of a up himself, pretty boy kind of tag team.
Okay.
And Flex Buffington pulled out on show day. Can't remember the reason why he pulled out, but he did. He rang me. It's about 9 a.m. Hey, mate, I'm so sorry I can't be there. And I didn't have a network, so I said, well, who do I know in the Nottingham area? Because they're from the Nottingham car.
Yeah.
Give Barricade a call. I was like, cool, have you got his number? Here's his number, so I gave Barry a call. Barry said, cool, I'm there, mate. I'll see you later. I'll jump in the Nottingham car. Yes, fantastic. Bit of a weird pairing, Lucas Black and Barricade, but we needed someone. Both Nottingham, both heel. Let's put it in. Now, there's like a running joke, because this is Barricade's debut.
Okay.
They were calling him Barry Cade rather than Barricade. It's just a bloke named Barry. Like, that doesn't sound intimidating in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, no. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it worked. It got us through. We needed someone in that spot. So, and Barricade, mate, got a good few gigs out of us after that by putting in a good showing and jumping in and all that sort of thing. So, it did as well as it could. So, Battle Squad Awesome went over in this one. Very fun, very flashy. One dresses like Captain America, the other dresses like Iron Man. They're fantastic.
Fair play. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was going to sort of make a joke about Mr. Barricade, but clearly everyone else beat me to it. So that's a damn shame. Not that I would say that to his face because he's a very imposing guy. Do
you know what he does for a living, perchance?
I don't.
He's a bus driver. Could you imagine getting on a bus and seeing Barricade behind that plexiglass?
I mean, if he's behind a to be fair, the strength of him, I don't think the plexiglass would be much of a barricade.
Oh.
Indeed. Also, I know. Thank you. I'm here all night. So the next one is a singles match. LJ Heron defeating Joseph Connors.
With me. So this is my final showing.
Who were you representing?
I was representing Joseph Connors, so one half of the Predators. So again, continuity. Me and Violet have been with the Predators. Violet is with Paul Malin, who's in this sort of penultimate match of the night.
Yep.
I went with Joe Connors. Now, LJ Heaven, really funny guy, like exceptionally funny guy. And I said to him, this is one of those like organic moments. You're in Stoke, and he said, "Well, what song would you sing in Stoke?" I said, "Well, you got two teams, Port Vale and Stoke City."
Not what it's named after.
Yeah. And he says, "Well, name me a song that one of those would sing?" I said, "Well, can you sing Delilah?" He said, "Of course, fuck yeah, I'll sing Delilah." So Dale Harvey, the announcer, is not a singer. He's kind of like me, does not sing. That's just not his forte at all. Okay. So myself, Joseph Connors come walking out. RJ Heron comes out. He gets on the mic with Dale, kind of arm in arm, so Dale can't run off. And he makes them both sing Delilah. And there's a picture, because there's photos of the show, but there's no footage, of Dale Harvey giving the camera I'm looking through this camera, looking at Phil, whose idea this is. I fucking hate you, Phil.
I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but you know, when it's live, you can't do it. You get confidence. Your balls turn to the size of space hoppers on show day. There's nothing you can't do. So chuck them at the deep end. They start singing Delilah, and nice little moment.
I've got to say, was this the first time that someone had sang their own entrance? Obviously not the last time, because Mr. Magnificent Matt Brooks is.
He didn't say this wasn't singing his entrance. He came out to.
Oh, okay.
It's something a bit more upbeat. I can't remember what the song is.
And then but just sang Delilah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm with Joseph Connors at this point. Now, bear in mind, this is my 6th show that I've promoted under the Person Feud banner, and ego is creeping in a little bit because I've got my own promotion. And I'm still at this point probably getting booked elsewhere for a couple of different promotions, like the Pro Wrestling Premier League and all this sort of stuff. So my head is filling up badly, really badly at this point. So I think
I've ever seen that happen.
No, but I think I'm bulletproof at this point. So I'm doing my usual managerial stuff, the typical manager stuff that you do, getting in cheap shots when the ref doesn't look, strangling the babyface in the ropes. As natural and as you've seen it a million times as you can get. Now, at this point, I'm very loud anyway. My voice carries a lot. And I'm overshadowing. This is one thing that managers need to learn to do. I am overshadowing the match. I am stealing the heat.
Yeah.
I just thought my job was to get as much heat as it was. I didn't quite realize what I was doing. I wasn't pushing the heat onto the person that I represent. I just wanted to soak in all that heat, to get in the back and be like, yes, I'm so hated, and this is my company. And that's just not the case. To the point that about 6 or 7 minutes into this match, Joseph Connors comes alongside the ring, tries to say it enough that only I can hear, but the crowd can hear because I have to shut up enough to hear it. He says, "Phil, stop stealing the fucking heat." I'm like, oh. Told me off on my own show in my own
rightly
match.
So.
And rightly so.
Absolutely rightly so.
Absolutely. So I had the snip on the show, and I was like, oh, okay. Learned a very valuable lesson. And it's all my own fault. By the way, I'm not blaming Joe for anything. Like, it was right. I was just like soaking all the heat. I didn't know how to pass that on. So, got told off on my own show.
Fair play. Next up, you had another singles match. So again, sort of like slightly breaking from Silverado Showdown 3 in terms of the alternating types of matches. Jack Burchell against Alex Gracie.
Yeah, now Alex Gracie used to wrestle as Alex Chaos. I think he was on Showdown 1 and or 2. Pretty certain it's both. Relatively certain is both. Now, Jack Burchell. Yeah, so Jack Burchell went on to be, I think he just wrestles under the name Burchell now. He does own his own wrestling school called the Barracks. Big shout out to the Barracks. I know that's going to surprise people to hear me saying that, but it is what it is. Didn't own it at this point, but he did go on to own it. And wrestle were both from United Wrestling, both really good guys. Still using the United Wrestling ring at this point, so still must have been on really good terms with United Wrestling. And both good guys, both good, dependable guys. Not much to say from the match. It was just kind of 8-10 minutes there.
Solid singles match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Of course, then it was kind of the appetizer for the G6 division title match. Mark Morgan defending his newly shiny title against Max Angelus.
Yeah. Now, no one's going to believe this in any way, shape, or form. So when people comment on AEW and WWE, they say, "Oh, I can't believe that that person dropped this belt this soon, or this late, or to that person, or under this circumstance." Now, it happens in every company in the world, whether it's a small little piss pot, whether it's AEW, whether it's New Japan. Shit happens, you just go with it. And this is one of those shit happens, just got to deal with it moments that we just kind of had to deal with. And if I'm right in saying, Mark Morgan, I think he may have pulled out. I thought he pulled out of this show. This is what makes it really confusing.
I will say he's not on the next show.
Yeah.
So it could be the next. It could be the next one you're thinking of if it was a non-appearance.
Yeah, this is kind of what I'm thinking. So Mark Morgan retains the G6 title over Max Angelus. Now, Max Angelus, if you see a picture of this guy, he is the very definition of a cocky, pretty boy wrestler. He just looks like it. You look at him and go, "I bet he's a wrestler." You wouldn't think he does Excel spreadsheets for a living or anything like that. He looks
just like me then.
Skipping over that.
Had to say it, guys. Had to say it.
I mean, you go from Kraft to Crufts, so come on. There's like one letter difference. Give me that.
I'll take you. I'll take you to the championship. I don't mind.
I mean, I've still got the a championship that I won from Mr. Daniel Terry in the loft somewhere.
The cardboard belt that we coloured in with felt tips whilst at work, like children.
I'm a 4-year champion. No one knows. Like, literally, no one knows what that means apart from me and you. And we're never going to explain it. We're going to leave it there.
Nor will that belt ever be recontested, which is an irony.
Since I got sacked, I didn't win anymore. But it's fine. So yes, really good match. Mark, superb, really finding his feet as a babyface. Max Angelus, really great heel. Like, he's such a smart. People talk about smart people in wrestling, but Max's name never comes up. He knew what to do, when to do it, and when not to do it. He's such a great talent.
Now, would it be fair to say, because again, one of the many plaudits that I associate with Mark Morgan of modern day is that he's got a very good ear. Something which, again, sort of I'm taking from words out of Phil's mouth here, but he's got a very good ear for the crowd. Knows kind of like, when to bring it down a notch, knows when to push it up. Would it be fair to say that this was potentially, again, sort of like a really good matchup for Mark's development in terms of that element of things? Yeah,
because Mark didn't have the ear that you would think he would have at this point. Because we did say on the last episode that it took me a while to get Mark on my shows because he was at risk of hurting himself.
Yeah.
It wouldn't ever hurt the crowd, wouldn't ever hurt his opponent, but he would take risks that didn't need to be taken. And I didn't want that under my watch. Like, he would fall off a ladder through a table at ringside. Don't need to do that. He would take a cane shot from me and told me just stick it in. I was like, all right, cool. Didn't need to take that. And I lent into that. I mean, he said do it, so I did it. Didn't want to do it, but
sure.
Genuinely, like, he will back me up on this. I tried to pull out of doing that. He wanted me to do it 3 times. I did it once, and then shut the cane down because I refused to do 2 more. So nice guy after all. But yeah, Mark hadn't developed his ear at this point, but you could tell he was getting there. He was making better decisions.
Fair, absolutely fair.
Which again is why I'm wounded that this match and this show doesn't exist in the archives, because again, 2 great guys really both coming up, elevating each other, and you've got no proof of that.
Indeed. Speaking of elevating a storyline from the previous show is the next match, a singles match between Paul Malone and Sam Bailey.
Yeah, so Paul Malone with Violent Vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we were kind of, obviously at this point, keeping that foursome going, Joe, Paul, myself, Violet. Paul being the typical cocky, villainous veteran that he is. I think it's a bit of a dirty win on this one. So Sam gets cheated again.
Yeah.
Paul carrying the briefcase around. It's a bright, luminous red briefcase. Now, that's one thing I am so proud of because it was beautiful. I had a really good artist draw it. You would not be able to tell the difference between that case and a WWE case. It was drawn that good. It was pristine. It wasn't some flimsy little plastic thing like some people use. It was a big metal, like it was like a gun case, like a big, solid, sturdy thing. Carrying that round with him just to rub it in people's faces. He can cash in at any point. Again, Paul Malone, just superb, absolute superb.
There we go. And again, speaking of absolutely solid people, the finale to this was, as it's written here, a PW4U World Title match.
Yep, this is with your favourite wrestler in the entire world.
With my favourite wrestler in the entire world, Babyface Pitbull, against someone who I have a hell of a lot of respect for, Styx.
Yeah, now, again, there wasn't really a storyline for Styx to come in. It was one of those, do it from cold and see what happens. So Dale Harvey used to work with Styx over in Nottingham, that Nottingham Derby, House of Pain, Hope wrestling kind of way. I said, look, Styx wants to get on the show. Dale, can you film a promo with him, setting up the open challenge to Pitbull? We've not got a story. Let's just make it happen. And yeah, really fantastic match. This is another reason why I'm wounded this doesn't exist.
Yeah,
they broke the slats to the tier of where people sit in Silverdale. Do you know those banisters?
Yeah, the railings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Styx shoves Pitbull, just kind of gives him a big old shove. Pitbull hits it with his back, breaks, I think it's 2 slats. Yeah.
He's got slats.
He's got a bit of a habit for breaking things at that venue, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's only broken things in Silverdale twice, and the slats were one of them.
Yep. And both to do a Pitbull. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, it was a really solid match. I mean, both guys really went for it. Styx he's a mountain of a man anyway.
Yes.
Like a guy I've infamous. That's not the word. Infinite. That's the word. Respect for. Really great guy. Always been so nice to me whenever he's seen me. And Babyface Pitbull, a great babyface champion for us. Really great, solid match.
I will say again, if you are in the Nottingham area, really good trainer. Really, really good trainer. I can speak that from experience.
I have got, before you move on to the.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've got a little.
Is it another titbit?
It is a titbit. How did I not? Oh, doesn't matter. I don't care. Now, I've put this in articles sometimes. I have talked about it on a couple of shows, none of ours, but on other people's shows and bits and pieces. Now, have you both heard the Gingerbread Jenga incident? Now, not my dog. My dog's named Gingerbread. Nothing to do with him. This is years before he was even born. But have you both heard of the infamous Pro Wrestling for You Gingerbread Jenga incident?
See, now I'm intrigued.
Right. So what's one thing that Pro Wrestling for You does that other people don't do at their shows? What do we have in our locker room?
Oh, muchos snacks.
Muchos snacks. And this was no different. I mean, we've been doing it since early doors. And the Silverdale Working Men's Club locker room, changing room downstairs is filled full of lots of plunder, lots of shit. There's tea sets, there's bowling sets, there's swords, there's just filing cabinets, fucking low everything that you can imagine.
Yep.
And
the usual working men's shit.
Yes. Working Men's Club plunder. I quite like that.
Yeah, we have gathered this at various events. It lives here in a small contained area.
Now, at this point, there is a giant Jenga set downstairs. Big wooden blocks, like big 1 foot length blocks. Big, giant, heavy Jenga. So I go out for my match. I'm trying to be out front a little bit. I'm unfortunately blending that line between being on the show and being out front, kind of in character, kind of me. So I'm not in the back all that much. I think I did my match with Joe. I'd gone through to the interval. I'd gone out front, see to some bits and pieces. when I came back to start the second half, they had built a giant Jenga set just in the doorway. So when you come down and go around that corner and go into the changing room, it's quite a narrow corridor. Then it thickens out a little bit. In that narrow corridor bit, there's a giant, it looks like the Shard, really pointy at the top. So very top light. Bear that in mind. So this is maybe 6 foot tall, 7 foot tall. Base really good, really well built, and then they started running out of blocks and just made it really flimsy, so that they are end to end, not width to width, end to end like that. So, and it's teetering. Now at this point, there's a photography shoot setup where it usually is downstairs. There's 15 or 20 wrestlers all in that cramped, stinky space, and it's hot. It smells like protein farts. You both know what it's like.
Yeah.
So I come down, right, guys, we're going to start the second half. Now, one half of Eye Candy, I forgot his name was, Lucas Black, had taken a picture with his knob out on top of the Jenga set.
Standard.
But he did it so that you didn't know what you were looking at. He looked like he was just stood behind it, and then you go, whoa, what? And he had his knob out. Apologies, Luke, if you were listening to this. No, it gets worse. Now, Joseph Connors had kind of minded his own business for a little bit. He comes up to the Jenga set. Now, I've said it's 6 or 7 foot tall and very top light. Mm-hmm. So he starts taking a brick out from the very, very bottom, like trying to pull out one of the corner legs. Now, you both know where this is going. Now, everybody in that room went pin drop quiet. You could hear the crowd upstairs, but no one moved. It was like pure silence. He pulls the corner leg out. A structure. There's loads he could have taken, but he took that one. Pulled it out. Now his hand is flat on the floor because he pulled it out and tried to edge it with his palm. The very top of this tower, slow motion, toppled off and hit the very tips of his fingers. Now, it's called the Gingerbread Jenga incident. It's because once they'd finished building with the blocks, they took some of the biscuits that I had provided and put some gingerbreads all over this tower. But this solid wooden block hit Joe on the very tips of his fingers, like instantly bruised the ends of 2 of his fingers. Joe loses his fucking mind. Fuck's sake! Grabs this block. Now, you know how narrow that changing room corridor is.
Yes.
There's the big lights for the photography shoot setup. There's 10, 15 people in the way. Joe launches this block from one end of the room through everybody and hits the back wall while he's holding his hand and fucking bastard! And how it didn't hit anybody, how it didn't hit any of the bulbs in those lights are very expensive.
Yeah, they ain't cheap.
The ceiling height is very, very low down there anyway. It missed everybody and everything. And we were just all like trying to not laugh because he's hurt himself. But, it was good. It was so good.
Days. I mean, some of the shenanigans that go on in those dressing rooms are interesting. There's obviously... for those who, if you do have a Pro Wrestling For You On Demand subscription, www.pw4uondemand.co.uk, or go to the Pro Wrestling For You, pw4u.co.uk website. You can find all the links there. The more recent shows have had some backstage interview type things, sort of like, pre and post matches with myself. But to do that, the videographer is upstairs taping the matches themselves, which means that the downstairs camera is left on permanently.
Yep. There is one more tidbit to this show.
Oh.
I refuse to change the word. It's a tidbit.
Fair enough.
Now,
you're a tidbit.
These things are still there. Have you seen the 2 wooden chalk A-boards downstairs?
Yeah, the easels.
Yeah, they're like 2 little kids' A-boards, easels, whatever you want to call them. And we were still opening at 7, starting at 8, because that's what I was kind of used to.
Yep.
And I'd wrote on these 2 big chalkboards, and there's like an infamous picture somewhere of this one. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. Now, if someone had chalked on this, but not till I didn't discover this until maybe halfway into the show, someone had written on one of the chalkboards, Keith's. So it reads, Keith's back doors open 7 p.m. And it had been there like for most of the show and probably most of the day, but because I'm in and out like a blue arse fly, I didn't notice. But the photographer lady came downstairs, saw these, and said, "Yep, get a picture of that." And like once a year, every year, I'll tag Keith in it and be like, "The back door's still open, Keith. Piss off."
I mean, the poor bloke wasn't even on the show to defend himself.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, if that's not showing status as a local legend, that you're not on the show yet, you're still referenced.
Yeah.
Fair play. Fair play. Indeed. I mean, also one thing, obviously, with this show, again, something I'm starting to notice. One of Pro Wrestling Few's mantras, I suppose, is that we're there to entertain. We're not there to take ourselves or the wrestling seriously. We're there to have a laugh. We're there to give the crowd a good time, make them giggle along with us or at us. We don't mind which. Obviously, you've had a dance off. You've had Ajay Herron coming out and singing Delilah. Would it be fair to say that this is probably the start of that trend of you kind of realizing as a promoter and sort of maturing and going, yeah, it's not all about the wrestling. It's about the shenanigans that happen alongside the wrestling, sometimes in the middle of the wrestling. Those little memorable moments of just complete and utter daftness that are nothing. You'd expect to see. You could equally see again one of your. I would say it's fair to say inspirations. Bottom. Ed Edmondson and Rip Mail, bless him. Sort of that kind of proper slapstick nonsense and daftness that you just laugh at because it's there. It's just completely out of context, which makes it funnier.
I mean, whatever you grow up watching, whatever you enjoy, you create, So I'm very fortunate that the shows that we put on where we've had dance-offs, we've had bummings, we've had like so much. I mean, the Too Cool dance-off, the gladiator pugil stick, just daftness here, there, and everywhere. I'm so fortunate that the Pro Wrestling Few audience goes along with it with 99% of it, and that they enjoy it and they go, okay, we're into this. I couldn't have asked for a better audience. So we try to do one thing daft on every show, something a bit silly, a bit of a let me up. Just a bit of humor. Funny will always draw money, and it'll be something that people go home talking about. They won't necessarily go home talking about a 5-star technical masterclass, but they will go home talking about someone getting hit in the face with a frying pan. So it's again stolen right out of bottom. That's out the Rip Mail playbook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think you worded it really well, Phil, when you said, like, I think it was backstage at one point, you said, like, the westernized world is more into gimmicks and the funnier side of wrestling, whereas the eastern side of the world is more into the technical side of things. And it really does show. Yeah, it's worked really well for us, especially. Like, I've seen, like you said, the rear-ending incidents, the dance-offs.
Carrot Gate.
Well, you've got to kind of pick your moment. I mean, we never overshadow, because we don't want the entire thing to be slapstick. We don't want the entire thing to be an episode of Some Others Do Have 'Em or Mr. Bean. But there's always at least 2 or 3 things. I mean, if you look at Oscar Mania 2, Geordie Stew entrance, very tongue-in-cheek, calling Mark Morgan skid mark and all that sort of thing. You had changing Pervy Paul James's music on his entrance. You had drill with the bucket of chicken that turned into a bucket of carrots, which turned into a carrot in the ass. There's always 2 or 3, 4 things that people know we're a comedy promotion. We take the business very seriously. We're very professional. We cross all T's and dot all I's and all that sort of stuff. But someone called us the Monty Python of pro wrestling one time, and I can't think of a better analogy than that. Like I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like, because there's you got your serious promotions that do a lot of strong style. You've got your old school British promotions that still do rounds. We want a bit of comedy. That's our niche. That's what we're known for. So
Yeah, we've never taken ourselves too seriously, but at the same time, we, like you say, we do dot our T's and cross our I's.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is the thing. There's a difference between doing.
I was waiting for you to pick up on that one. Then
I just skip back. I mean, look, we've already had tidbits all episodes. I was just letting it go. Sort of like we book good talent, and from a wrestling standpoint, they are good. They are brilliant. They are technically well trained. Able to perform at a really decent, good level. But then we also asked them to put in something a bit more personality-wise, and a bit more daft, and a bit more maybe out of the ordinary from other promotions. And I think that's good. I say, A, it's good for our audience. Our audience love it. B, I think it's also probably good for the wrestlers because it is a bit of something different for them to do as well. Yeah. Not everyone's open to it, but I think that the more people that without blowing our own trumpet too much, the more people that sort of like come to know Pro Wrestling for You and sort of get to hear those stories about Pro Wrestling for You's crowds and how genuinely awesome they are and how much they have a laugh, how much they get on board with all the daftness and the reactions it gets. I think that starts to make the talent kind of go, yeah, okay, I'll go a little bit out of my comfort zone for a giggle. And I mean, it just works so well. I mean, how many other sort of like promotions can you have a HR manager coming on and telling the wrestlers off about doing dangerous stuff and then doing dangerous stuff?
Yeah, we've got a unique selling point with PW4U, and that's probably part of the reason I've stayed around for almost 10 years nearly.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Again, this is if I'm not mistaken, sort of like Silverdale Showdown 5. Yes. I've got so many tabs open.
He doesn't mean LSD, kids. Just put that one out there.
Correct. Good old internet browser tab.
Yep. This is the last show of 2013.
It is, yeah. So on the 6th of December, just a couple of days after my birthday, Pro Wrestling for You back at Silverdale Showdown 5. Again, a six match card. Again, 3 singles matches and then 3 other matches, so to speak. Obviously, no G6 on this one. Now, you mentioned that you think there was one that Mark Morgan had to pull out of.
Yeah. See, this show is the infamous show.
I mean, I can say that about a lot of our shows. You're going to have to elaborate.
Now, so up to this point, I'd been working with United Wrestling. I had a really good working relationship with them. I hadn't done their shows this year because Matt Castle was booking their shows. I wanted control over it. My ego couldn't deal with that, so I left United Wrestling. But I still maintained good relationship with Richard Lees of United Wrestling, so we still used their ring. Now at this point, I kind of wanted to sever that relationship. I wanted to be done. I wanted them to go do their thing, and me to do my thing. To be 2 separate companies, and 3 BWA trainees that I used to train with had bought a ring. A guy named Tom, a guy named Mark, and a guy we call Bones because he was about 6 stone and all he was Bones.
Fair enough.
So Bones bought the ring. We'd all left. I think we'd all left BWA at this point. I mean, BWA had closed up at this point, and we wanted to carry on trading and all this sort of thing. So Bones bought the ring. He spent a couple $grand on this ring. He stored it at Tom's house. Now this is where things get a bit weird. So he stored it at Tom's house, and in this, I want to call it an outhouse. Realistically, it was a shed, a dank shed. Now,
just what you want boards in.
Yep, exactly. And so this would have been early summer, so maybe June. It would have been after the last show, maybe. So maybe not long after August.
Okay,
somewhere there. So I went up to Tom's house, saw the ring, and it's beautiful, brand new ring, absolutely everything. The boards are new, the pads are new, the turnbuckles are new, the ropes are new. Beautiful, great craftsmanship, love stuff like that. I know it makes me sound a bit sad, but beautiful.
Not at
and all stored in this shed. And it's summer, it was still August, still that. So it's all beautiful, it's all in the shed, it's perfectly fine. And by the time this show rolls around at the very start of December, it's been in the shed for 4 months. Rain had gotten in, snow had gotten in, and the boards were sodden. Like the boards had rotted. Every pad was covered in like a thick tar, like sludge. Now, bear in mind, I'd gone and met, I think it was Tom and Mark, the two guys that didn't buy the ring, but Tom that did store the ring. I didn't meet Bones after. Met both of them in Weatherspoons and Castle. Sorry, Chris, but I said the W word. Met them in Castle, did a deal with them.
I'll let you off.
Cool. I said, cool. This is the show date. Got a really good deal, brand new ring. Cool. We'll see you then. Didn't think anything of it. So then the ring shows up, and it's about early afternoon, maybe 12:01, somewhere there. Now, we hadn't seen the ring since August. They hadn't got it out because they got nowhere to set it up because it's a fucking 16-foot ring. Their garden wasn't big enough to set it up. So they just left it in the shed. They hired a van. They loaded it into the van in the worst state humanly possible. Shows up to the Silverdale Working Men's Club. And we cannot believe our eyes at this point. It's shit. Like, I would struggle to find a ring on show day now without going to Unite Wrestling and with my tail between my legs at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So we drag it into the venue and we say, look, we'll clean everything down. And the boards are last. You know, the boards was at the bottom, it's the irons, and then it's the pads on top. Yep. We'll drag it in, we'll clean it up, it'll be good. So we drag the ring in, it's sodden, it's soaking, it stinks. There's just like a thick tar, like sludge to everything. Then we get the boards in. Now, the boards have been sat for 4 months in rainwater. Now, the boards are strong, you know, like the wrestling ring boards are fucking strong.
They're decent. They're decent, thick ply.
Yeah, but not when they've been soaked in water for 4 fucking months. So we dragged the boards in. Now, our DJ for this show was a guy called Kev Parton that both me and you, Dan, have worked with. Chris, you would have been still doing the lights at this point. So Kev was DJing for this show. I think he was filling in. Yeah, I think he was filling in for Josh at this point. And Kev is thinner than Chris. He was maybe 7 stone, 8 stone tops. Kev walks on one of the boards on a flat surface, bear this in mind, and Kev goes through the board. So it's not like there's a gap underneath, so you're creating a pressure. It was on the stage, and Kev went through the board. Now, at this point, we're getting on for 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, somewhere in that kind of gap on a Friday night.
Yep.
So time is ticking. So I start losing my shit. I start saying to Mark and to Tom, you need to go to home base and get new boards. It's a 16-foot ring, so you need 8x4 boards. They go to home base in the van and leave us to clean the ring. So I'm there, Kev's there. I think Chris would have been there. Mark, Chris's partner in the company, was there. Maybe a couple of wrestlers. We were both there. Some of the wrestlers were showing up. When you buy a brand new ring, the rope is all one rope. It's not cut into 3.
Yeah.
So we had to refeather the rope, so it kind of tethered it and cut it up. It goes through a joist in one of the corners. We were scrubbing every pad, every turnbuckle, just we went through 1 million baby wipes. You know, it was just ridiculous. 1 million wet paper towels from the Silverdale Working Men's Club toilets. And it's sometime about 5:30, Mark and Tom come back with the boards. And like, oh, we've got the boards, all 8x4s. They've even cut, because you know, in the corners, a notch has to come out.
Yeah, for the posts. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've even cut the notches out. Like, oh, thank God for that. Now, it's not plywood, because plywood needs to bend. You know, you're taking bumps, there's a spring in the ring, plywood's got to bend. They've bought the kind of wood that Argos makes its cheap wardrobes out of.
MDF.
Yeah, they bought MDF.
Oh.
They bought chipboard, essentially.
Yeah.
So solid, doesn't bend, doesn't move MDF. Good. Which is why you use it for furniture.
Yeah.
And then you know what happens when you put MDF on a bounceable surface and you put pressure on it. What do you reckon happened?
Other than a very loud rattling noise, as it's probably bouncing up and down off the metal but isn't giving, there's probably some cracks appearing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you've got the irons that run the length of the ring. You've got the wood on top, and then you got the pads.
Padding,
and then you've got the canvas. So that would be like a sandwich.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the wrestlers on the show said, "You know what? It'll be okay. We'll all take it easy. Just tell people just bump very lightly or don't bump at all. Just roll."
I've just seen two of the people that are on this show.
Yep. Oh, we are getting to that point.
Welcome to our world, Dan. This is the show that we had.
Yeah. Now, bear in mind, this is 5:30, getting off at 6 o'clock. We're letting in at 7. Fans had already started coming and lining up because that's what they did at that point. Yep. And so we're faced with very few options. So, like, I think it might have been Dylan Roberts said, "You know what? Just do it. We'll make it work. Everything will hold. The mats and the iron will hold the wood. You'll be good. At least no shards will come through because it just disintegrates. It's not going to split."
Yeah.
So we said, "Okay, we'll do it." So we put it all together. Dylan Roberts jumps in, does some rolls, does some bumps. We kind of get under the ring. What's he done? Oh, nothing. Oh, you know what? Maybe it'll all be all right on the night.
Famous last words.
Yeah, exactly. So we just had to go with it. We had no options. We had no other way of doing it. So, yeah, on with the show. So that was the ring palaver done with.
Indeed. And the show, of course, opened up with a tag team match.
Can I interject there? That was a ring palaver done until half time.
Yeah, I was going to get to that point when Dan gets to that point. I mean, it's not like Chris to be premature.
Oh, well, indeed. But yeah, so you had the return of Battle Squad Awesome.
Crufty Chris.
But I'm going to end up sort of like, announcing some extra names on November when we go back.
On this show.
Christopher Moneypenny Cruft Strawn.
Who works at Bottlecraft. I mean, Bottlecraft. Damn it.
Indeed. So, of course, tag team match, Battle Squad Awesome, the return of Dana Chase and Dave Andrews versus Paul Malone and, as known back then, Jürgen Heimlich.
Yes. Now, this is meant to be Battle Squad Awesome versus the Predators. Now, I've removed myself from this show. I am done at this point. Obviously, there's no way I could have done it with everything that me and Chris were having to deal with on this show. There's no way I could have performed. Never in a million years. But I didn't even bring my suit. Was not fussed. Got put in my place. I'm done. I'm good. So it's going to be, Paul Malone and Joseph Connors, the Predators versus Battle Squad Awesome. I've got written down here, Joseph Connors pulled out. Now, I think this is where Joseph Connors, he got jumped on the way home from a nightclub.
Oh.
And he's got a bit of his ear missing. The top of his ear is missing. This is where he got, I'm pretty certain, this is where he got jumped and lost part of his ear.
Valid reason for pulling out, in fairness.
Yep, trauma to the head, damage to the head. You want to be bumping. I get that.
Yeah, understand completely.
We had Jürgen Heimlich in our mind ready for the following summer. So again, this is one of those. If Joe's jumping out, he's from Nottingham. Who we've got in Nottingham? Jürgen Heimlich, one of the most professional guys we've ever had on the shows. So tell you what, I'll jump on. And there's an infamous picture from this show. He's being waist locked and being picked up. And he's doing it like a cat that doesn't want to get picked up because he's just kind of like, ah! And that infamous picture got him bookings in other companies.
I mean, it says a lot. And again, I've been on my high horse about this before, sort of like, don't wrestle quiet, wrestle with your voice and wrestle with your face. Sort of like if you're being picked up like that, have a reaction. If you're about to take a suplex, you are not going to want to take that suplex. Display that on your face.
There's one thing I've got to add. We missed out on the end of the last show. So when it was Babyface, Pitbull, and Styx, we always wanted to keep in people's minds that Paul Malone had the Money in the Bank briefcase. So after Pitbull had won, Malone with Violent Vendetta did rush out to the ring to try and capitalize. It didn't work. He got bailed, and he didn't cash in.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to mention that little bit.
So kind of like didn't cash in, but got his backside handed to him.
Yeah, and it kept in people's minds, oh, that's what the case is for. That's what the case is for. Okay. Now, at this point, so Joe's not on the show. I'm not on the show. Violet and Paul make a great combo. They work really well together. And Paul had his case. Now, we wanted Violet to have her own case as well, like a miniature version of this case. It could be like Mr. and Mrs. kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'd been to Barber College several years before, and I had a smaller version of the case that Paul Malone had. It's like a gun case, but a small one, maybe a foot long, something like that, but a solid metal case. Did that up, absolutely pristine, one of the best Money in the Bank cases you'll find anywhere, but miniature, about that big, handbag size, perfect for Violet Vendetta. So Paul comes out, holds up his case, Violet comes out, holds up her case, with Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank, just to keep rubbing it in and going a bit further. Absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
And Paul is tended to like be near the start of the shows, not on the last one. On this one, it made sense to make him bookend the shows. So he's at the very start, and then he comes out right at the end trying to cash in. Doesn't happen, so on and so forth.
Makes sense. Again, that's that little kind of like tease. And again, there's a lot to be said for that. There's a lot to be said of having patience and kind of just stringing on a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, build that anticipation. But yeah, of course, Jürgen Heimlich, sort of like one of otherwise known as Jukin, one of.
Otherwise known as Mark Lasek.
Otherwise known as Mark Lasek, indeed. One of like the longest reigning champions that Pro Wrestling Feud have had, which again we'll come to. He had a pretty epic reign, does have to be said. And again, sort of like fantastic bloke, fantastic wrestler, really good.
Yep. I've got to chuck two more names in because when he is the man of 1,000 names.
He is.
When we've come to record this, I've recorded my episode with Jukin, Jürgen Heimlich, Mark Lasek already. That's in the can, ready to come out once we finish doing these ones. So he had two other names. One was Mr. Harpoon, I do believe, for some reason.
Okay.
And there's one that we didn't mention on the episode. He goes under the name Cyril, which we're going to get to that point when we get to that show. Which again, because I never mentioned that in his episode, and I wish I did. But he, for one Press and Few show, went under the name Cyril.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So obviously Mark, also known as Jukin, also known as Jürgen Heimlich at this point, he debuted, I think it's like 6 months early because we needed him to. He already knew in advance we wanted him for the World G Cup, but this is one of those, tell you what, mate, I'll do it for you. Perfect, jump on in.
Absolutely fine. And again, there's a lot to be said for sort of like, those guys who are, with that work ethic, hell of a lot. And as you say, sort of like from having that work ethic, jumping in 6 months early, sort of like, doing it very much on the fly. The photo from this show got him bookings with other companies.
Yeah.
You're an up-and-coming wrestler, put in the work. So you can say, you never know when you're going to get spotted and by who.
And in the words of the infamous Britney Spears, #Free Britney, got to work, bitch.
Exactly.
Thank you. I'm going to say my girlfriend is in the corner. She's just hit.
I do not blame her. Anyway, I was about to say sort of like, speaking of bitches, but I don't think I dare do that to Keith because he will clip me around the ear.
Have you just compared Keith Mayat and my girlfriend to bitches?
No, I was going to compare Keith Mayat to Britney Spears.
Oh, okay. Oh.
#Free Keith.
Mate, them balls are getting longer. One of these days, one of those balls is going to be free. As I'm getting towards 40, I'm finding that out. And there's a Kevin Hart sketch where he said his wife thinks he's got dice in his back pocket. Turns out they're his balls. I feel that pain.
Yeah, okay. I'm only a couple of years behind you. I can't say much. But of course, speaking of things coming loose, I get the feeling that this next match is possibly going to be contributing to Ringgate. Keith Mayat and Barricade.
Yeah, yes and no. You'd think so because obviously Keith's is a stout fellow.
He's like me. He's got very broad shoulders.
And Barricade, big dude. Very big dude, good 6'5", stocky guy. But neither of them particularly liked to bump. So I don't think it was this that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think it was this. It was the following match, but this one itself was not it.
No, indeed. And again, sort of like two good blokes, two good wrestlers.
Yep. So it's just more. It's more of a brawl than anything else. I think at this point because I'm around ringside at this point. So after the first match had gone and they're going in the back, Me and Chris are paying close attention to the boards. Now, Chris is on stage doing the light, so there's only so much he can do. Yep. I'm just very quickly just like lifting the ring skirts up, looking. It's all holding. It's good. We're good. I'm good. And this is why I never relax at shows, because at this point, I go downstairs and have a cigar. And whenever I relax, shit breaks. This is why I don't relax.
Indeed. And again, sort of the next singles match, Sam Bailey and Cyanide.
Yep, all 32 stone of Cyanide and the lovely Sam Bailey did. So they did a dance off, and Cyanide actually participates in the dance off.
Fair play.
It's amazing. I didn't see this live. I was downstairs smoking. I'm like, oh, we've got away with it. Oh, thank God for that. Thank God. Yeah, because it's just stress and sweat up to that point to make sure we hit our time to open the doors. And it's at that point I'm outside smoking, so I missed the dance off, and I'd get a text from a couple of people after this match is done saying, Phil, ring's gone through. I think it might have been Chris. Chris might have texted me, or whoever it was would have texted him, Phil, upstairs now.
It was me, like, full on stressing out. Like, this is my third show with you guys by now. And I'm like, this is part of my team now. Like, I need to sort this shit out.
This is bad.
Yeah.
This is my name on the on the show as well. Let's sort this out really quickly.
So this was free intermission. Yes, this is free intermission free. So we tried it a bit different rather than full intermission 2. Okay. We wanted to balance it up a little bit. So we tried free intermission free. Plus, this show is filled with, I don't want to say inconsistencies, but we had a few people pull out and a few instances that made this kind of, it happens on every show, or this is the first one where a good few people had caused the show to be very different to how we planned. So first 2 matches, ring might have broke at the edges. It was fine. This one, 32 stones, it was Cyanide. Not like he was bumping, but just that weight stood upright. It's going to happen.
There's an irony to say that, sort of like the bump probably would have been less pressure on the board.
Yeah. Exactly. It's one of those like sort of weird twist of fate.
More evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a text off Chris. Phil upstairs. I got a text off like it's about 3 or 4 people because it all came through like.
Yeah.
This is before 5G and all this sort of stuff. Don't always get a good signal in the Silver Working Men's Club. There's no Wi-Fi.
Get a signal there.
Yeah, there's no Wi-Fi, so I'm like, oh shit, because I'm outside smoking. I'm like, oh shit, so I run upstairs. Them 2 come through, and I go upstairs as Sam and Cyanide come through the curtain and come through the back.
Yeah.
And Cyanide doesn't say anything. He says, "You all right, mate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." I've come running around the corner, and Sam Bailey says, "Yeah, it's fucked." Like, oh god. Luckily, we've gone to the interval at this point.
So you can try and rescue it.
Ish. I mean, there's one of my favourite pictures, even though it's from bad stuff that happened. There's an infamous picture of me and Chris. Now, Chris knows what this picture is. It's like grayscale. It's me and Chris lifting the ring up, like lifting the ring apron up at the very front.
Yeah.
And we can see that the board has disintegrated.
Yeah. Shout out to Samantha Jane Sadler.
Yes.
For taking that photo, because that is one of our more glamorous moments, shall we say?
Yeah. There's a definite look of me with this massive Ace Ventura quiff. Like, I mean, it is big. Chris with his pedigree chum cup. And but we're looking at each other and we're both because the audience is right there at the front. We're at the front of the ring. So me and Chris have got like an unspoken language. Bear in mind, we'd seen each other 2-3 times, maybe. We maybe would have saw each other at a Jesse's gig, perhaps, but I've known Chris 3 or 4 or 5 shows or 3 or 4 or 5 meetings. And I'm putting a lot on Chris at this point because I'm looking at Chris going, this is fucked. Chris is looking at me going, this is fucked. We both get under the ring at this point and we're looking at where's cracked. And we're like, oh shit, it's right. I mean, obviously it's going to be right in the middle where the spring is, where the most impact is. It's disintegrated to fuck. Now, me and Chris are like speaking to each other. Tom, the guy that stored the ring, slides under the ring at this point. Mark didn't slide under. Mark is a big dude. He's about 25 stone. He's not getting under that ring. At this point, now both of you guys, I'm not a violent guy. I don't like fighting. That's not me. Doesn't happen. Tom, who had stored the ring, was maybe a foot in front of me under the ring going, oh, so what are we going to do then? With a fucking smile on his face. And Joe, that noise from Kill Bill, that alarm.
Yeah.
I was like, I might punch this guy in the fucking face. It was like a real moment of just the
are you kidding me? I mean, to be fair, and again, sort of like this is what I say. Like, we are a very professional company. If things go wrong, we try and fix them. If we'll make jokes about it after, but in the moment, it's very much right. This is a problem. This is a solution. What do we need to do? Game faces on, thinking caps on. Right, okay, we'll do this, and this is kind of like straight to action. We'll make jokes after, because afterwards, it's fine to make jokes. At the time of it happening, a big grin like that is not. I'm right with you. I'm right with you.
It was a proper shit-eating grin.
Yeah. That's the reason. Like, me and Phil have got this. Like, we can have a conversation with our eyes, because one, Phil's promoter. Two, I'm a roadie, so I can go like, look, things are getting fucked up. Phil knows as a promoter going like, yeah, things are getting fucked up. That's why we've got this like unspoken sort of like, we can do this, but we need to sort this shit out now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our answer to this was, if you remember, Phil, feel free to take the reins.
So we noticed that, obviously, Dan, you put rings up. So, it's boards that are 8x4. So 4 go across the top, then 4 go underneath.
Yep.
Like that. And it was the ones in the middle that were most affected, but the ones closest to the front of the ring. So me and Chris said, well, if we pull them out, we turn them around, push them straight back in, that'll leave the edge of the ring where no one goes a bit broken, but the center of the ring where the most impact is, at least we can get it as good as we can get it.
Yeah.
And we'll tell everybody to ease up.
Yeah.
And whatever happens to the boards after the show, we don't give a fuck. We just need to get through to the end of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So me and Chris are there. We're kind of lifting up the padding. We're kind of sliding this board out. We're taking out the front row because people are like getting a board in their face. And as we're pulling it out, people are seeing the states these boards are in. Now, regular working men's club people are coming up to me and Chris while we're trying to get these boards out, going, oh, what's going on here then? And they're trying to look. They're trying to get involved. I'm like, no, it's cool. Go.
Everything's good. Smoke. Move away, please. Nothing to say here.
Go do you. It's cool. But it's hard to hide. People are going, oh, the ring's broken. And we're trying, no, calm down, people. It's all good.
Yeah.
Chris, fucking
But on the flip side of that, I'm going to, like, some of the punters are going, yes, the ring's broken, because we've just had, like, quite a decent sort of first half. So I'm playing it the other way. Yeah. I'm going the wrestlers have broke the ring. Therefore, we're now trying to fix it because you've had a great first half of the show.
So Chris is captain bullshit when he really needs to be. Like, hats off to him at that point, because I didn't think of that. My mind is just, oh, fuck. Or we're going to have to, like, send everyone away and pay everyone and then still pay the wrestlers and all this sort of stuff. That's what's going through my mind.
Mate, I'm a trained journalist. You've got to spin everything.
And so we're just trying to, like, figure out. So we kind of, like, pull them out and put them back in. And we had, like, a big roll of, like, bright red gaffer tape that I think Chris had in his box of tricks. So we put a big bright red, I think it's a big bright red X in the middle of the ring on top of the canvas. Big bright red X.
Yeah, it was a bright red X on where the broken bit was. And we said to the wrestlers, like, do not hit that area of the ring.
Yeah. There was 3 points, if I remember correctly, because one near the front of the ring.
Well, yeah, but the key one was, like, close to center, which was the issue we had.
Yeah, so we went in the back.
And that's why we were both like, we were touch cloth for the second half.
Yeah. I mean, I was almost touching Chrissy's cloth. Like, it was that desperate at this point. So I went in the back. I explained the situation, because we advertised 5 matches, but because of the opener, it created an improv 5th match, which we'll get to in a minute. And so we said to the other 3 people in the 3 matches, what the other 3 match peoples, Be very, very light. Do not bump. Roll out of everything. If you need to brawl on the outside, brawl on the outside. Just safety is absolute paramount.
Yeah, and
Do
don't
not
hit
do
these
anything.
crosses.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't there. I haven't seen this footage, but a little bit of me is thinking, if you put a big red X somewhere and tell people not to aim for it, did they start using that as almost
As
target
a
practice?
bullseye.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. Now, Dan, you've got the rest of the card up on your screen, have you not?
I have indeed.
The first 2 matches after the interval, fine. Nothing really with. Yeah, it is. So,
I see.
So bear in
However,
mind, now,
you say this, Phil. The next card of the match is when I said to you there was an incident with the kids last time on the show.
I don't remember this.
There was a bit where the kids in the Silverdale audience shouted, "Kick his fucking teeth in."
Oh, okay.
And we're sat there at the curtain waiting for like whatever issue to happen with the ring, and that's why we heard that. And we peeked through the curtain, and it's a 5-year-old kid hanging off the banister, shouting at the ring, "Kick his fucking teeth in."
Nice. He's a twinkle in his father's eye, that young
God
scamp.
bless Silverdale.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Now I'm going to take a bit of a jumping leap and assumption that this next match, I would say jumping leap and assumption, given the match after this, it definitely wasn't going to be that one. That this is the match that Mark Morgan would have been in, because it again features Max Angelus. There had been previous 4-ways for the G6. I am going to presume that this should have been a 4-way for the G6.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So this is where 2 matches kind of went awry a little bit. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to say, I think it was meant to be Max Angelus versus Mark Morgan, a rematch.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was, let me think who else it could have been. Who else would it have been? Jack Birchall, and I think it would have been Jack Birchall and Pyro.
Okay.
I want to say that was originally booked. Now, Birchall had to pull out because he injured himself lifeguarding a few days before the show.
Okay, fair enough.
It might have been a few weeks. So there was enough notice that we could get we couldn't change the match graphic, but we got a replacement person for it.
Yeah.
Mark Morgan had some, I swear it's an ankle injury, I want to say, and he had to pull out of this show. Now, this would have been a Friday night. Mark said, "Phil, I'm so sorry. I'm pretty certain it's ankle. I've done my ankle in. I can barely walk on it. I can't make the show." I said, "Well, could you at least, if someone drives you, could you come and sit on the merch tables so that when whoever we put in with Max Angelus, when Max wins, he calls you out at ringside, picks on an injured you, who's a babyface at this point.
Yeah.
Max looks like a big scumbag picking on an injured champ, sets up for the next show, which would have been 3 months after. You'd have had more than enough time to recoup. Win. Now, yeah, but Mark said, I can't even walk on it, can't put any weight on it. My girlfriend can't even bring me. I'm really, really sorry. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, there was Mark had been tagged in at a Christmas market in Manchester the very next day by his girlfriend. Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, and then it was quickly deleted. But Phil sees fucking everything. So I was kind of a bit dubious. I didn't quite know the ins and outs to it all. But obviously on this Friday night, all I knew is he was injured. I didn't know this till the day after.
Yep.
And we said, okay, well, we've got 2 matches that we need to fix. So we'll combine something from the first match, because Battle Squad Awesome came out with Jenna, who was a wrestler that was one of our announcers.
Yep.
Jürgen Harmlich and Paul Malone came out with Violet Vendetta. So we're going to put them in a match against each other, improv style, later in the night. So that's going to be a match. We'll take the broken parts of the broken 2 matches and we'll put them together and make Max Angelus versus Joe Vaga versus Pyro. We made a
Nice little
three-way.
three-way. Yeah.
Typically, I'm not a big fan of three-ways because it always leaves one person on the outside waiting to get in.
Yep.
It's a bit hit and miss. But for this, it wasn't too bad. Pyro was still in his injuring himself scenario at this point. He did a corkscrew off the top.
Oh.
How he didn't decapitate himself, I will never know. It was one of those like proper wince moments. Joe Vaga, good reliable wrestler. Took a bit of time off for a while. I think he's come back. Couldn't tell you for the life of him. And Max Angelus looking like the absolute scumbag heel that he knew he could do 1,000,000 times over, which is perfect.
Absolutely fair play. Yeah, I mean, and on the subject of you not being a fan of three-ways, I personally quite like them. Yeah, I know. Interesting phrase. Yeah, so sometimes you just got to go with it. I personally sort of, I see your thinking in terms of there's always one person left out. However, you can also then have really fantastic moments. And again, one of the moments that sticks in my head from recent history was, I want to say, Dukan, Ryloid, and Alex Bauer. And again, sort of like just a beautiful kind of sequence of craziness culminating in Ryloid hitting a destroyer on. Did he hit on Dukan? Oh no, he hit on Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alex was Pyro at this point, so I don't know if Pyro / Alex Bauer was our three-way specialist. I have no idea, but he just always seemed to be bundled in, and it's one of those moments. Yeah, Max Angelus picked up the win. Lovely scumbag heel. And at this point, we didn't know. Obviously, Mark was going to get tagged in at I think it's the German market in Manchester.
Yeah,
I've committed that to memory. You can tell I'm seething still.
Oh yeah.
And we thought at least if Max wins, at least on the next show, Mark's recouped. We can do Max versus Mark. We'll go from there. So that was the fourth match of the show.
Indeed, and then the fifth match, as you alluded to, a bit of a callback from the first match in terms of the managers, attaches, whatever you would like to call them, plus ones.
Yeah, this stands as like Jenna and Violet Vendetta were great opponents for each other. Like, because they're never going to pull out a 5-star technical masterclass. That's not what those characters were about.
No.
They were really good characters. I mean, Violet was the pin-up princess, that 50s kind of vibe. Jenna kind of wore a blue version of what Silk Spectre wore in Watchmen?
Oh yeah. Okay, I get you.
Yeah, the blue version, like the spandexy, lycra-y one.
Yeah.
And really good characters. The audience were really into them. And Violet was a proper good scumbag heel. So put anyone against Violet, it's always going to be good. And yeah, really good improv match between the two. So they were involved in the first match. They're both sort of, flanking these tag teams. All hell breaks loose. There's a cat fight. The teams are pulling the girls apart. Dale Harvey's like, I want to see these two girls in a match later. How about you? Yeah. Set up for later in the night, an improv match. Really good. Yeah, Violet went over. Both of them stuck it in. There was no light-handed, just gentle, tappy. They stuck their moves in, which is superb.
Yeah. That's what you want to see as well. Sort of like, you can take. And again, I know I've been very in previous podcasts, so especially sort of like in previous seasons, I've been very. What's the word I'm looking for? Dismissive of some of the film of wrestling's lack of effort in matches. But again, still some of the best wrestlers I've seen, male and female, are ones who, sell it well, both on the giving and the receiving, and make some goddamn noise. Stop being so quiet. Anyway, off my high horse.
But this show is on YouTube. Now, I don't know how I got this show, and I've got to thank Jürgen Heimlich, Duke, and Mort Lasek, Cyril, for pointing this out, because I thought we'd lost 3 shows DVDs.
Okay.
Turns out it's 4, 5, Showdown 4, 5, and 6. 4's missing. I think 6 was corrupt. 5th is on YouTube. So this is on our youtube.com/ProWrestlingForYou channel. And I'm pretty certain this match is on there as well. Violet and Jenna, really superb match. And they had a good few more matches together as well.
There we go. And then the final nail in the ring's coffin, I'm assuming, the babyface Pitbull and Dylan Roberts for the Pro Wrestling for You title.
Yeah. Now, Max, Joe, and Pyro worked very light. Despite them being three of them, they worked very light. They, with the dives and things like that, they tended to work towards the outer side, which is the least hit and probably the most strongest point, where it's held tightest.
Yeah.
Jenna and Violet, very light workers. Lots of rolls, very fed into the bumps. Again, fine. So at this point, right before the announcer does the announcements for the main event, I'm looking under the ring. Yeah, we're still good. We're still good. It's maybe a few little cracks appearing, but we're good. We're good to go.
Yeah.
I make a quick dash into the back. I grab Pitbull. I grab Dylan Roberts. So it's Dylan Roberts versus Pitbull at this point because it's like an open challenge.
Yeah.
So we still got no stories for Pitbull, so it's open challenge scenario.
Yeah.
And so, but they fought each other a million times over at Britannia Wrestling. Those are two guys you can always put together. They'll always have great chemistry. No matter which one's face, no matter which one's heel, great every time. So I run in the back. I'm like, guys, it's holding. Please be fucking careful. Don't do anything stupid. The match will still be great. Don't do anything fucking stupid. Stay away from the taped off areas where possible. And both of them went, all right, Phil, not a problem. And I took their word. I just wanted the show to be over. So I was like, cool, have a great match. See you later. I walked off. Now, as I walked off, I walked past Chris, who was in his little booth, and looked at Chris. And I swear I gave you a thumbs up as if to go, we're good, mate. Fucking yes. And I heard a noise come from behind me. I want to say it was Dylan. It could have been Pitbull. I don't know. There was a laugh of it as if to go,
oh, God.
And just that one little chord, one little laugh, just that one little. It's all it too, because and it didn't occur to me till I thought about it after the show, and I was like, oh, they started their match. They took the taped off areas as targets to throw each other with the most ridiculous, over the top, over their head stuff possible. Like, let's see how far I can chuck you into the broken spot.
But also, given in mind that you're not going to boot this ring again, can you blame them for that?
Nope.
Let's fuck this ring up as much as possible. Let's make this the most cinematic match that we can within Silverdale, the best it can be, and fuck this ring up 8 ways to Sunday.
Yep.
I mean, if any of us were in that position, we'd do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We're not paying for the ring afterwards.
I mean, I'm a very conservative with myself kind of guy. Would I want to be throwing myself at broken wood that I know has got massive iron bars underneath that could potentially give me some really serious backache?
When I made the debut as Crissi Steel, I asked my good lady wife if I was allowed to take a coffin drop, and she has banned me from taking that move.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, fair.
So, if the ring was fucked up, that's not on me.
Yeah, I mean, as much love as I have for Pitbull and his attitudes. I
mean, you do realize I have got to do, like, he's going to do this podcast at some point. I've got to do I'm going to chronicle every match he's ever done with Pro Wrestling for You.
I fully understand it.
Amazing.
Christ, imagine my chronology with this company.
Fucking hell. We're never doing that.
DJ, 23 seconds. Done.
Indeed. And that's the title of your sex tape. But yeah, so obviously with this one, Babyface Pitbull defeated Dylan Roberts, maintained his title whilst destroying the ring in the process.
I mean, they were hitting like angle slams in the taped off area. Like they were targeting it on purpose. Like to the point that they're picking each other up to like give them hit some Germans, realize they still know any of the tape and think little miscalculation, turn it, boom. And I in the footage, I'm just at the ringside, like with my hands on my temples, like let it be over, let it be over,
yeah.
let it be over.
At the time, me and Phil are both backstage going, please don't, no. But thinking back now that I've done 23 seconds of wrestling, I would totally do the same thing. I can't help but think, yeah, fuck it, it's not our ring anymore. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
If only you were 2 seconds short in that Rumble, we could have you coming out next time to
21 seconds ago.
20. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been around you too long. I can read your mind already. Indeed. But anyhow, on the subject of being around too long, we don't want to keep everyone too long. We want to leave a little bit of something for the next episode, for episode 4 of season 4, where we are going to go through 2014. There's a nice theme of 4s there. There's a theme of 3s for this one. There's a theme of 4s for the next one. I like it.
Well, so a couple of little tidbits to
oh God, here we go.
If you don't mind me finishing you off.
Never say that to me again.
Damn it, we switched places. That's my line. So let me see what I can pull out of the bag for this one. So again, continuing the theme, we had Paul Malone in the opener. We wanted him to bookend the show. So as soon as Babyface Pitbull had got the win, Paul Malone ran out. Fowler Vendetta runs out. Paul tries to capitalize on Pitbull's knackeredness. Doesn't get it. Gets bailed. Runs away with his case to live to fight another day.
Okay.
Other little tidbit.
Yep.
Now, I always put the ring up. I always take the ring down. That's just me. It's my show. I want to be the first one in. I want to be the last one out. Always going to be the way. So we're done. So the show's over. Me and Chris like, oh, thank God for that. We need a beer. We definitely need a beer. Definitely need a beer. And everyone's gone away scot-free. So no one's injured. We're good. The ring is destroyed. It's a shame because once everything had been cleaned down, it's beautiful craftsmanship that goes into a ring. Like it's such a shame. And at this point, Tom has put on a brave face. Mark has put on a brave face because they know I am fucking seething. And they're just kind of like just trying to make light of it and all this sort of stuff. And I got their money. I kind of chucked it at them, even if they picked it up, because I'm still going to pay them what I agreed to pay them because I'm not a dick.
That's fair.
And they did spend a considerable amount of money on boards because not all the boards are replaced. I think they replaced 3 or 4, if memory serves.
I mean, that's wood's not cheap, and wood that size ain't cheap.
They bought 3 and replaced 2.
Yeah. So that would have been a good sort of 60 quid to 80 quid, 90 quid. They're about 25 quid a board, somewhere there or thereabouts. So they weren't making anything. They're making buttons at the end of it. And at that point, we packed up. I think I don't know if we went town or where the hell we went for the drink after. I have no idea to this day. That's the only time I've walked out.
The rigor as always. It was always a rigor.
Yeah, more than likely. That's one of the only times we packed down. I've just said try to everyone. I would say try to all the bar staff.
Yep.
Like the very last show, I think it was me and Chris went up to Carl, the guy that runs. He went up to Jack, and all the bar staff said thanks. Hopefully we'll be back soon. You should thank those people. They're working their arse off for us. Said try to everyone. Left Mark and Tom in the venue. This would have been maybe 10:30, perhaps 10:30, something in that kind of gap, because we're not taking it down. So we left about 10:30, called the taxis, we're going town, drop stuff off my house, town, need a beer. Mark and Tom were taking bits of the ring out themselves, one at a time. And so the owner, which isn't the current owner, but the owner that was running to that point, said they ended up leaving about 2 a.m. Which I felt bad because that looks bad on me. Like at that point, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I totally get that, dude. But again, at the end of the day, it's their fault.
It's a problem of their own making. Not storing a ring in anywhere that's watertight. I mean, like the metal pieces, yeah, fair enough. Stick them in the shed because a bit of wipe down. They're painted. They're not going to rust that easily. That's absolutely fine. But the canvas, the boards, the fabric parts, you store them in even if you have to sort of take a trip up to a loft to put them in there, or store the boards in a hallway. It's sort of if you've bought that thing, you look after it. It ain't cheap. And people are relying on you to provide that for their talent that they are booking and insuring. And
you're getting paid for it. Again, back then, Phil says he went for a drink afterwards. Back then, it was me and Mark who did lights. We'd pack up the car and we'd travel back ourselves. We wouldn't have a chance to go for a drink afterwards because it would be... Yeah. Mark at the time lived up near Cheadle. I lived in Leek.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't go for a drink afterwards. It'd be Phil would pack down, we'd pack down, and we'd all go our separate ways.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, for the same for those guys, but they've made their bed and therefore
they've made
lie in it.
Yeah, I mean, sort of A, you've got the wrong wood. If you've bought that ring, you should know what the construction is. And B, sort of, if you've not stored it properly, this is on you. This is entirely on you. But yeah, so absolutely fair play. But yeah, enough ranting about rings. We will again sort of we'll wrap this one up. We'll be back for episode 4 where we'll be covering 2014, the continuation of the Silverdale Showdown reign.
You had one job.
I've got one. Yeah, I always, my one job is I use my voice, I use my words, and I can't do that.
What are we to expect from 2014?
From 2014, the end of the Silverdale Showdown reign and the beginning of Pro Wrestling View's November reign.
Yep, so we brand new venue, so the Holy Trinity. We start the World G Cup.
Yeah, I believe the introduction of the Scoundrels.
Yep, and it's going to be a bit of a personal one because I've got some stuff that I really want to ask Chris because this is also kind of the downfall of his company, Blackout. So
it was. Yeah, this is where I go from being behind the curtain to in front of the curtain.
Yeah, and,
so I get to watch the wrestling live.
Yeah, and those fans that see your face have never came back. So,
and you can't blame them, Phil. You can't blame them.
Can't blame them. But I mean, there's so much meat on the bone for 2014. It's one of those years that, it's going to be good, and we will be getting close to Dan's debut. I do believe we're in a few shows.
Yeah, with a couple of podcast episodes, and we should be there because but yeah, I think it was around. I want to say it was around 2016 because I started Mice and Dice in 2015, so I want to say it was tail end of 2016. I probably started.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
Yeah, so that sounds about right. Or if not started, at least attending and helping out at ringside. But yes, thank you very much from myself, Daniel Terry, from Christopher Moneypenny Crufts Strawn. From Phil Filthy Titbit Woodvine.
Oh fuck!
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Check out Pro Wrestling for You on all social media platforms and stream our back catalogue of shows over at pw4uondemand.co.uk.